Greetings all! Today we will be examining the common bug flying type Pokemon Combee, the Tiny Bee Pokémon, and its rare evolution Vespiquen, the Beehive Pokémon. While they might not be much of a concern at a young age or when of a certain sex, the members of the Combee family are still interesting insectoids that can more than make themselves a nuisance if the right member of their kind is chosen for a combat.
Combee have a body that is comprised of 3 individual living units that are permanently fused together before they are even born, with a single Combee larva occupying each of the 3 honeycomb cells that make up their combined form. They have a black and yellow striped abdomen in the back of their form, a pair of small wings, a wing on each side of the honeycomb form, and a small pair of antennae, each attached to one of the upper units of their body. The only other distinguishing feature that they have can only be found in females, who have a red chip marking on the top part of their bottom unit. The evolved form Vespiquen have a more humanoid body form to them, complete with a pair of black arms that end in a pair of orange claws each, as well as 2 pairs of wings and a hunched thorax where their head rests. They have a yellow and orange head with 2 black horn-like striped protrusions on their head like a crest, a bright red gem-like structure on their forehead, yellow sharp mandibles, and bright reddish-orange eyes. Their lower abdomen is completely taken up by a massive beehive-like structure with a total of 7 holes, the central one being used as a storage center for their pheromone-producing organs, and the surrounding cells being used to store developing grubs. The members of the Combee family share much in common with normal bees in a number of factors, chief among them the fact that they gather pollen and nectar to produce honey in order to feed the population of their colony, and tend to work in large numbers, with the overwhelming majority of them being little more than workers. Along this same vein, only the female members of the Combee species are actually able to become queens through evolution. In stark contrast to the normal brethren, however, male Combee dominate the breeding population by a factor of 7 to 1, so females are generally far and few between. Considering how long Vespiquen tend to live, it is believed that this is so because it enables their hives to control the number of possible queens they can produce at any given point in time, which works well considering most females don't make it to adulthood anyways. If a female Combee is getting close to the point of evolution, however, the Vespiquen in charge must decide whether or not to allow the fledgling to take control of the hive. In the vast majority of cases, the answer is no, and the young creature is killed by the rest of the hive to prevent a possible skirmish from occurring. The only times the Vespiquen will gladly relinquish control of its hive is when it is deathly ill or otherwise approaching the end of its lifespan, which can last anywhere from 3 to about 30 years in length. Tensions between Combee over the issue is rare, and these creatures effectively have a one-track mind with little personality to begin with, and usually only care about the survival of the hive as a whole. It is duly noted though, that when evolution does occur, the units comprising a female Combee actually merge into a single organism, in turn granting Vespiquen triple the amount of grey matter possessed by their cohorts, and making them a surprisingly lethal force on any battlefield.
As the nature might suggest, these creatures tend to only be good for gathering the materials needed to make honey at a young age, but can do so right on the spot, so most Combee only have access to the unique honey gather ability as a base ability, which can allow them to make honey on the fly in and out of battle, though those that act more rambunctious towards others can also have access to hustle as a hidden ability. In contrast, the menacing and overbearing mannerisms and appearances of their evolved form Vespiquen allow them to normally have pressure as their only base ability, while those that give off a more disturbing air can further have unnerve as a hidden ability.
As far as the stats are concerned, in the case of Vespiquen, while they might not be very fast or be able to hit as hard physically as some other Pokemon of their type, they can still prove to be a decent offensive threat from afar and have a decent amount of stamina to them for an insectoid. Plus, their beehive-like bodies have an especially durable exoskeleton that grants them surprisingly high defensive stats. As such, their base HP and special attack stats are above average for a fully evolved bug-type Pokemon, while the base defense and special defense stats are above average for a fully evolved Pokemon of both their types, in turn making them decent tanks that can take direct hits fairly well and deliver potent strikes right back in retaliation. Combee consists of 3 separate grub-like organisms that are connected together in a single unit by a series of honeycomb-like organic tubes sealed at both ends with elastic tissue that enables them to communicate with others through vibrations. Combee are unable to do much in battle, aside from emit a sweet scent technique and strike from afar with gust and struggle bug attacks and a bug bite attack up close. But this doesn't matter much for these creatures, as the lifespan is extremely short anyways, and they usually die about a month or 2 after they are initially born. Thankfully, Combee don't seem to mind this, as it gives them plenty of time to serve the only real purpose they have: collecting honey.
The vast majority of Combee work together as drones for a single large Vespiquen, which acts as the queen of their colony, or hive, and is responsible for producing more Combee. Since only Vespiquen are actually able to do this under normal circumstances, they must be kept protected and well fed in order to ensure the survival of the hive.
Combee spend most of the day collecting pollen and nectar from flowers and mixing it internally to produce honey, and are quite proficient at doing so, as seen in their honey gather ability, though it is noted that the 3 different units that comprise their form each have their own unique preferred flavor of honey, so a single Combee can produce 3 different types of honey at the same time to provide more variety to both the hive and the Vespiquen they serve. When night falls and the air grows cooler, Combee will huddle together either outside or more commonly inside the confines of a small cave into a roughly hive-shaped lump, sometimes packing as much as 1,000 members or more into a space only fit for maybe a couple hundred at best. This is usually done as a way of both keeping the colony as a whole warm and defending their otherwise frail bodies, as the limited offensive and defensive abilities make them poorly suited for combat on a one-on-one basis. Although evolution into Vespiquen heavily restricts these creatures' movements and considerably decreases their base speed stat as a result of the massive increase in size and weight that occurs, it nonetheless makes these otherwise simple insects devastating creatures with strong offenses and superb defenses unseen in most other bug types, the latter point being reflected in the change in their EV yield from 1 in speed to 1 in defense and special defense. The lower bodies of Vespiquen are perhaps the most vital portion of their entire form, as their lower torso is the portion of their body responsible for producing infants. While cloning in general can usually lead to the breakdown of genetic material, Vespiquen seem to have mastered the process and are able to reproduce thousands of loyal and protective cohorts every single year simply by recombining their genetic material and using it to create zygotes from scratch without seriously affecting the overall development of the infants. This has the unfortunate effect of rendering most Combee male, but for the sake of peace in the hive, that probably is no mistake. Vespiquen carry a full load of developing grubs within this honeycomb-like appendage at all times, not only because their body heat keeps the infants warm and allows them to conveniently feed them honey gathered by Combee without having to actually move much, but more importantly, because Vespiquen enjoy using their grubs to attack others and defend themselves in battle.
Alone, Vespiquen are imposing creatures that gain many attacks and techniques upon evolution and as they age, including the Slash attack, which they get immediately after evolving, Poison Sting, Confuse Ray, Fury Cutter, Aromatic Mist, Fury Swipes, Power Gem, Toxic, Aromatherapy, Air Slash, Swagger, Destiny Bond, and Fell Stinger. But it is their grubs that provide the most versatility in battle.
Each Vespiquen grub is automatically born with wings that enable it to fly, and when Vespiquen release specific chemical pheromones from the lower torso over the grubs, they can control the otherwise mindless grubs and force them to do their bidding, in turn allowing Vespiquen to utilize 3 distinct moves for attack, defense, and healing purposes that are otherwise unseen among any other species of Pokemon: Attack Order, Defend Order, and Heal Order. In combination with their relatively high stats and surprising intelligence, this makes Vespiquen a serious threat on any battlefield and can more than make them a difficult opponent to fully overcome, even with a significant type advantage, especially since those with stronger pheromones tend to be able to control larger swarms to attack and defend with.
They might look cute and fun to play with at first, but in the right circumstances, the members of the Combee family can be outright nuisances that can more than make life difficult for those that dare to disturb them and their hive. You might have to slog through many of them in order to find a female that is actually capable of evolving, but the effort can be more than worth it if one knows how to make the most of these critters and the grubs they use as living weapons.
Just do yourself a favor and try to keep your distance from them if you don't want to get into any potential skirmishes. Facing a swarm of Combee might not seem like a big deal, but go too far and anger their queen and you will more than likely have a real battle ahead of you when their infants decide it's time to help their mommy obliterate all that would dare to threaten her. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yeah, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.